Hey guys, this is Molly, and this is my money tracker report for the week ending July 28th. My bills this week, I was working for credit card number 2, which has a minimum payment due of $177, half of my mortgage and utilities, which will be $600, and the phone, internet, and food share is a check that I write to my father-in-law. What I'd like to do is see if I can take our share of the phone and pay it with credit card too. I don't know if that's going to happen, so I had to set the money aside just in case I can't do that. If I am able to do that, I will follow up with another video so you can see exactly what I'm doing. But for bills this week, I was working for $937. And then for my variable expenses on the right side, y'all know that I get those numbers from looking at 3 months of my bank statements and 3 months of my credit card statements, writing down everything that we spent, dividing them into categories, and then coming up with a budget based on our average income because we don't have a regular income. I had to take a look at the average, look at our pattern of spending behavior, and then try to come up with a number that was realistic but yet better than what we were doing because we were just spending willy-nilly. So the 382.25 is a set number that I came up with looking at those particular numbers, and then the 937. So I total those together. So for this week, our income goal was $1,319.25. So again, my income is pretty regular right now. I know that as long as I go to work every day, I should be getting $504 at the end of the week. My husband's is variable. He is a remodeling contractor, so his is going to change week to week, day to day. I don't know what he's making until probably Friday evening. So at the bottom of the page, what I do with my velocity banking strategy, which is a little different from everybody else because I cannot use a home equity line of credit. I can't go into a bank and qualify for a personal line of credit right now. So I have to use the existing credit cards that I have. So I have a little bit of a different modified strategy than what you might find on Christy's videos. Christy Van, if you're not watching Christy Van with Vanntasticfinance, she's great. So that's where I learned how to do this, and then I just modified it for my needs. So the 382.25, I log every dollar spent for this week. I track week to week, and that goes at the bottom of the page here. And then I total it. And so where you see variable expenses, it says category budget. The next column says actual. So that's at the end of the week, I total all these up, and then I put, how much I spent in each category. If it's in red, I overspent. I went over budget. And if it's in green on the far right column, that's the result. So I went over budget by $1 with Starbucks. I went over budget by $3.52 for groceries. Fuel, I was under budget. Tobacco, we were under budget. And miscellaneous expenses, we went way over budget by $51.62. And then the total for the whole week, we were over budget by $22.59. Now, we did exceed our goal for the income for this week. So instead of making $1,319.25, which was our goal, we actually brought in $1,849. And so what we do is we then subtract the 937 because that's got to go into the bank because I've got to turn around and make the payment on that credit card. I need to have the money in there for the mortgage and utilities, and then I need to write a check to my father-in-law as everything currently stands. So that 937 has to go into the bank that I can turn around and pay everything out when it's due. And that leaves me with $912. Well, I spent on my primary velocity banking card this week, I spent over budget. So I spent $404.84. So of that 912, that went on that card. So that means that my payment actually, or my balance actually went down by $507.16. So on Saturday, because I'm tracking week to week now, and I've switched it from Wednesday to Wednesday, Friday to Friday, I checked my balance on Saturday. So my balance was $2,822.50. And then I turn around and make that payment of $912 because that means that $404.84, I've already spent that. So that's already been added to my overall balance. Okay. So when I make that $912 payment, that brings my balance down to $1,910.50. I want to point out on this card, when I started in June, the minimum due was $305, and $101 of that was going towards interest. And I had an interest rate of 29.99%. So when I got this card 7 years ago, I was newly divorced. My credit limit was $500, and that interest payment was 29.99. And I knew it at the time. It was really high and ridiculous, but I thought, well, I'm never going to carry a balance, so it doesn't matter. But life happens, and I did carry a balance. But what's been happening since December of this past year is my interest rate has been going up and up. So at the time, in June when I started, my minimum payment of $305 with the interest of $101 meant that when I made my minimum payment, $204 was coming off of that balance. Well, I've done nothing but like bring my balance down, but the interest rate has been going up, and my credit's not horrible. My credit score has actually been rising. I just checked it today, so it was like 703 and 706, depending on if it's Equifax or TransUnion. So the highest score you can get is 850. I'm at the low 700. So it's not horrible, but this particular card will not lower my interest rate. So the interest rate has gone up. The minimum payment, I just find this so interesting that the minimum payment was reduced from $305 to $162, but the interest payment is now $125 versus the $101. So before, in June when I started, I had $204 coming off my balance when I made my minimum payment. And now that I'm actually getting better at it, I now only have $37 coming off my balance. So it's pretty tricky how they do that. So my minimum came down to $162, but my interest is $125. So that means only $37 would be coming off my balance if I had kept it at the minimum payment due. So real nice. That's how it works. So when I made my payment for this week, my balance was at $2,822.50, and then I take off that $912. That brings me down to $1,910.50. My credit limit now is currently at $10,700, so I take $1,910.50 and I divide that by my credit limit to get my credit utilization. You want to have a credit utilization below 30% to increase your overall credit score. Okay, for each card, you want it below 30%. That's what the credit companies will tell you. Ideally, it'll be below 10%, or really ideally, you won't be carrying a balance, but they say if it's below 10%, you'll have a really high credit score, and that people who have the highest credit scores, they won't carry more than like a 7% utilization. That means how much you're using of your overall credit limit. So when I started in June, this card had a 78% utilization, and this is July 31st. So in 2 months, I've gone from 78% utilization to 18% utilization, and I should have this card paid off within the next month, hopefully. So that's what I've got for you for this week. So if you have any questions, just post it below. I've got a few more videos I'm going to be posting, hopefully here in the next day or so, over frequently asked questions and utilization. And then I have someone who wanted to go over her finances, so we'll take a look and see what she can do there. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.